All right, so the recording is now started. All right, so in my last session, we have covered firewall, right? We have covered firewall with the different ways. We will cover a more advanced firewall rules here. But before we, go into the firewall policy, I wanted you to understand the IP address. Okay, so in Google Cloud, when you create a subnet, network or subnetwork, you define some cider range, right? So whenever you defined a cider range, there are some reserve IP address, right? So every subnet has four reserve IP address in its primary IP range, and there are no reserve IP address in the secondary IP range. Secondary IP range, just ignore this as of now. I will talk to the secondary range later, but just the IP range of the network. So let's say if this is your, this if this is your range, network range 10.1.2.0, the first address in the primary IP range of the subnet 10.1.2.0 is reserved for the network. Okay, and the second after that second address is reserved for the default gateway, and then the second to last address 10.2.254 is reserved for the um, reserved by the Google Cloud for future use, and the last is broadcast. You know about that, right? Last address of any network is used for the broadcast. So always remember, whenever you create a network, these four address of any network has to be reserved by the Google Cloud. Okay. Now, um, now let's talk to. Let me open my architecture diagram. Let's cancel all this. And here, so we have covered till firewall rule. How can you create this firewall and all this? How can you talk? How can your two subnets can talk to each other using the service account? How can your network can talk based on the network tags and all this? Now, what happen if say, let's say, let's copy this or do one thing um, here. I'm talking about the firewall policy first. So this is your Google Cloud project, right? In Google Cloud project, you can have multiple VPC network, right? You can have multiple VPC network, right? You can have multiple VPC network here. Now tell me, if I have four VPC network or more than that, and I have multiple workloads are running in each network, and you know that the firewall is a global resource. So if I apply here firewall, let's say apply first firewall here for this VPC network, then I allow this here the firewall rule also for port 80, then here firewall rule port 80, here firewall rule port 80. So you can see that this same firewall rule I'm going to apply on each VPC, right? So this is going to be a little problem for me to manage. It's little difficult for me to manage. So to overcome this issue, we have the firewall policy, right? So here is the firewall policy. So firewall policy let you group several firewall rules so that you can update them all at once, and you can control by the IAM management rules. I'll tell you these IAM rules later. And these policy contain rules that can explicitly deny or allow connection, as you can do in the VPC firewall rules. So three types of firewall policy: hierarchical firewall policy, global network firewall policy, and regional network firewall policy. I'll cover all these three. Okay. Now, please pay attention to this diagram. In Google Cloud, there is something called organization, right? You know about that. There is some organization, then there are some project, then there are some resource. If you don't know, go to your project Google console and go here. So this is your organization, right? You can see that this is your organization, and under organization you have some projects. And if you want, you can create a folder, right? You can also create a folder, and in folder you can attach you can have your multiple projects, right? So here, if you have the organization, you have a multiple projects, then obviously you can have a multiple VPC network. So organization firewall policy, whatever firewall policy you will apply here, it will apply to every projects under this organization. Let's see, if you apply a firewall rule here, allow HTTP from internet, let's say. Then and here on the VPC firewall rule, let's say on some VPC network, you have denied it here. So this firewall policy will override it, right? If you apply a firewall policy on the organization level, it will apply to everything. It doesn't matter if you allowed it here. If it is denied, and if you allowed here, then the deny rule will always win, which means the organization firewall policy will always win. And this is the order. So if you apply at the firewall policy at the organization, this will always win. Now this is the order, like firewall folder firewall policy. If you apply the folder firewall policy, then I'll come to this, and then you have the VPC firewall rule, then you have the global network firewall policy, and then you have the regional network firewall policy. So let's first understand hierarchical firewall policy, that you can create and enforce on a consistent firewall policy across your organization, right? So you can assign hierarchical firewall policy to the organization as a whole or individual folder as well, right? So let me just explain you with the demo, right? So let's assume you have a VPC1 here, VPC2 here. Let's put just two, just two. Oh, two is enough. Okay. Now I want to create an VM. Let's say this is my VM, and this is my VM here again. All right. Now go to your project, and here you need to create, let's create a network first, two network. So I have VPC1. In VPC1 I have actually three network here, but I don't need all these three network. Let's just delete it because I don't need it. Oh, delete this one and delete this one. Meantime, let's go to the your uh, firewall, and here you can see that you have a create a firewall policy and firewall rule. So now I'm going to create a firewall policy, right, at the organization level. Oh, sorry, 1 second, 1 second. Okay, so here I'm saying, before you apply a policy, let's go to the VPC network first. We want to make sure that there is no firewall rules are in place. So you have a lot of firewall rule. Let's okay, HTTP, allow SEMP, and this SSH is leave it, Allow all, and I'll delete this. I'm going to create an VM instance as well. Let's create an instance. Instance 1. I'm going to place in US Central 1. That's fine. Too small. And here I am allowing HTTP traffic. Okay, just the HTTP traffic in the VPC 1. See, I'm creating this firewall rule in VPC 1. Okay, and here I'm going to put my web server script. What is my web server script? Let me just see. Okay, so I'm putting this one. This one. Create it. So firewall policy is only required when you have a multiple VPC network. Let's say you have a 10 VPC network. Then if you want to allow port 80 in each VPC network, then you need to create 10 firewall rule, one for each VPC. Then why so this is a effort, like we are putting an extra effort, and it is very hard to track each and every firewall rule. So it's better to create a firewall policy and apply all on to the instance level, or sorry, onto the VPC level or organization level, right? So you create a one firewall policy and attach with the multiple VPC network. This is what we are doing. We are doing the demo. Now if you click on this, you can see that this VM is now accessible over the internet, which means the port 80 is there. If you go to the VPC network, you can see that. Just refresh it. See this VPC rule, this firewall rule has been created when I clicked on the HTTP that option while creating the VM instance. Now what happened if I want, let's say, go to the firewall and you create the firewall policy, and here you say deny deny HTTP port 80. Okay, and this is going to be my global. Let's click on global, and here add the rule. Here you can select any priority, 1000, or let's say, so here you can see if you are adding the rule, like if you are adding this priority 1000, and then you are adding the another rule with the 1000, you won't be able to do that. You can create it in the VPC level, but at the firewall policy you can't do that. So you have to put some random priority 2000. It has to be unique, and the priority can be 0 to this number. See, it is millions, so you can choose 2000, 3000, something like that. Now direction of the traffic, I am saying ingress, and I'm saying deny. Okay, I want this port 80 has to be denied. I'm saying all instance in the network, and the source is going to be public. Okay, and the destination is going, destination type is IPv4, or maybe just say none, and specified port is 80. Right, understood. Same similar rule that we used to create at the VPC level, but now I'm creating at the global level. So create it. Now continue. Now here is the main part. Now you have to associate this policy with the VPC network. So what you can do, you can associate it. You can associate it with the VPC1. Okay, I'm going to associate it with the VPC1. So it is VPC1 now. If you want to associate with the multiple VPC network, they can you can create with the multiple VPC network. I'll show you later. Just create this. See, here you can see that this is your network firewall policy below. Deny HTTP port. It just take few minutes, few seconds. See, firewall routing network is a little bit complex, but if you understand the basics, if you understand the fundamental things, trust me, you will be able to architect anything on the cloud. If you don't understand, then I mean, if when you design something, then there would be a problem because you won't understand the connectivities. If you understand which connectivity is there, how the things are connected from hybrid within the cloud or from the on-prem, then it would be good for you to understand the architecture diagram. So you can see that, right, this policy has been created, and you can see some of the rules are also created. Some of these rules are also created for IPv6, geolocations. You see all this geolocation because this is a global one. Don't just focus on this onto this policy only. So now, if you try to hit this IP, 1 second, just hit it. Oh, 1 second. Oh, I think I have covered this. Uh, the global one. So in the global network firewall policy, this policy will always win. VPC firewall rule will always win because this is at the top, right? So I've covered this one. So basically what happened, this allow will always work. So what happened if I let's say, uh, where is that? The VPC network. At the VPC one level, if you go to the firewall, I mean here at the VPC firewall rule, because you can see that the firewall policy apply like that. First organization, then folder, then VPC firewall rule will win. This comes after. So I got also confused. So this comes after. So even if you this VPC firewall rule, even if you just disable this, just disable it. Now the allow has been disabled. Now your this your global policy will be applied because you don't have any firewall rule, allow firewall rule. So let's see if it works. Should not work. Yeah, yeah. See, it's not working. Did you understand my point? Simple. Yeah. So yeah. So what I have done, basically, I explain you here. I explain you here. So you have that organization, then you have the global policy here. Okay. I mean, 1 second, not here. It is difficult to explain it here. Let me come to my diagram here. So what I have done, basically, I have created um, a firewall rule here, which is what allow, right? This is allow at the VPC1, at the VPC1 level, right? And here I have all, and then here I have also created deny, right? I have created the deny one. So what happened? This this rule will always be in because this is up. See, whatever position is up, this will always win. So that's why I have to disable this, right? I have to disable this policy. Now this policy will be enabled onto your VMs. So let's say if you want to let's say if you want to um, you know here one second. Let's say if you want to deny this here from the firewall rule, let's say at the VPC one, and here you want to allow. So which one will win? Can you tell me which one will win? The deny will win or the allow will win? See the orders. Shintu, yeah. So the deny will win and the allow will not win because it is lower priority, right? That is the benefit of the global policy, right? Global network firewall policy. If you want to apply a global network firewall policy, then make sure VPC firewall there is no firewall. The same firewall rule is not there. Otherwise, this will win. So what I have done, I have removed this. So basically, I have removed. You have to remove this. Oh, sorry. So you have to remove this one. Make sure that only allow is there. Network firewall policy or deny is there. If you allow both, if you allow here and deny here, then this will win. Understood? Any question? Okay. Now, yeah. The organization I have not covered. I haven't covered the organization one. I am just covering this one. I'll cover two organization later on. Yeah. So we talked about this one. If I apply or I'll come to for the organization firewall. Just I'm talking about this one. The order is going like that. See, the order is like that, right? Whichever policy apply here will win. If you allow here, it will win. And the same policy if you deny here, this will not be applied because you have already allowed it at the VPC firewall rule, right? And then you have something called regional one. I'll come to regional one just a second. I wanted to show you a little bit or two more things. Let's say you want to create a one more VPC. Okay, I'm going to create VPC 2. Okay, and here I'm going to create subnet. See, or maybe subnet uh, 3. Okay, fine. And reason I'm going to select Asia South 2, and here I'm saying 196, and that's it, and create. So I have my VPC 2 is also ready. Now do one thing, deploy one more machine into it. So this machine is VPC 1. We will create a second machine in VPC 2. in Asia South 2. Let's allow it here. Okay, at the VPC 2 level. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's been created in default one. Let's create another one. Instance 2. Let's take it to 2. Mumbai. Allow. Advanced. Networking. Here you need to select the network VPC2 and then done. Go to management, automation script, and then create it. So, so I have two network, two instance has been created. I'm going to delete this instance to one. So now this policy was already there, right? I'm going to edit it. Oh, edit is not there. The rule is, where is the rule? Ah, this is the rule. So let's see. Let's edit the rule. Oh, rule is not there. Rule is there, but what is the scope? 1 second. So I think you can, okay, association. Yeah, here is the association. This is what I want to do. So this is the policy which is already created. What this policy is? Deny, right? Now, if you just refresh it, if you click on this, it is accessible because it is allowed, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to VPC2 network, and I'm going to, okay, 1 second. So this was denied, right? Even so, if you want, you can just edit it. Oh, 1 second. Associate it, add the association, and you can select the VPC2. So see, now your policy has been associated on all the, on both the network. So similarly, you can have multiple VPC associations, right? So this is the benefit of the global policy, that you can attach, you can just create the one policy and attach it with the multiple, this rule. If you want to, enable, let's say in VPC2 you have the firewall rule, you don't want to create the firewall rules again and again. So what you want to do is just simply delete this, and here also VPC1 also delete this. This one, delete this. Now you can see both the firewall and the both the VPC, the firewall rule has been deleted. The allow one. Now if you want to access, it won't be accessed. You can see both the net, both the machines in both the network, right? These are not accessible. Now what you want to do? This is your deny policy. If you want to edit the policy, you can edit it. And now if I want to allow it. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna allow this. Simply save it. Understand my point, right? These two instances are not accessible on the internet. What I have done, I have created the policy on where? on the global level here on the global network policy level. So now it will apply to every VPC. Okay, okay. Now,
So,
now if you try to access
what I
it,
say
it
that
should be
if you
access.
now
It should
try
be
to
allowed.
access this
See,
machine, you can see that my machine is accessible over the internet
right?
with this one
So
policy.
this is the
With this
advantage
one
of.
policy. All right. Now, do one thing. Let's
I
delete
shared
this
it.
policy. I'm going to show you our organization level. Or you can do one more thing here. Uh, let's first delete it, then I'll show you. Okay, you need to just first disassociate. Association. So I have to remove this associations first. Okay. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this regional one. Okay, this regional one. Uh, Still, I'm talking about this only three. This one, right? I'll talk about this later. Now I'm focusing on the regional one. So let's say now let me just delete it first. You will understand with the example only. So right now I have two VMs in in two network VPC1 and VPC2. If you try to access, this will not work. If you try to access, this will not work. Okay, because there is no firewall rule. No firewall rule at VPC level, no firewall rule at the firewall policy. Now there is no firewall policy. Now I want to create. First, you go to the organization, not organization. Here only create a firewall policy, and here just say allow regional, or maybe you say uh, US Central. Allow regional, yeah, or you can say allow US, allow port 80 in US region, US Central only, right? And I'm not going to say regional this time. So what I'm saying, go to where is US Central? This is your US Central. I in my VPC network, if you see in my VPC network, this is my VPC1. I have two subnets, right? If you go to my VPC, I have two subnets. VPC1. If you go to my VPC1, I have two subnets. One is US Central and New Delhi. And firewall rule is a global service. If I apply a firewall service at the VPC level, it is technically applied to all the network, including all subnet. But here I'm saying exclude this New Delhi region, just apply only US Central. It should apply to US Central only. This instance one. Okay, I'll show you um, how is that work. To do this, let's just first apply this policy and then I'll cover it. I'm saying allow port 80 in US Central region only. Continue. Now add the rule. I'm saying allow port 80 HTTP. Okay. Ingress. Oh, sorry. You have to select the range. Oh, sorry, the priority here, and then here instance network. The IP range is going to be public. Okay, and here I'm saying only the port 80. Right now I'm saying create it, continue, and here I'm going to say associate. Now I'm saying both the network. Okay, both the network. Let's say all three network. Let's say all three even the default one. So all my three network are included under this policy for the US center. Remember that. Now create it. Now do you think what would happen? What would happen to this VM instance? Can you access this instance over the internet? This is in US Central. What do you think? Yeah, but we have allowed this. We have allowed. on global one. I mean, the on the regional one. See, one second. Let me. Uh, uh, so one second. One second. Let me just copy the fresh diagram. See what I have done. I here at the VPC firewall rule, I had two VPC, right? VPC one and VPC two, right? Right? Okay. At the VPC firewall rule, I have two VPC network, but here I have I have no firewall rule, no firewall. Here also no firewall rule, right? No firewall rule. So what I did, I created a policy here. I created a policy here which saying allow port 80 only in US Central. See, now I am saying allow port 80 only in US Central. So now if there is no firewall rule, then who will win? This will win, right? So I'm saying allow port 80 only in US Central. Now you can see this instance is in my US Central one in VPC one. Is it this is in VPC one? This is in VPC one. So since there is no firewall rule, it will allow it, right? My policy has been attached to all the VPC network, VPC 1, VPC 2, and VPC 3. Now you try to access it. See, you can access it. You can access this instance because this is in US Central 1 region. Now this policy is also attached to VPC 2, but this instance is in Asia South 2A. This will not access. See, this will not access. You can't access this machine because this machine is in US is in another region. It's not in US Central. I said in the policy clearly that this policy has to apply in the US Central. You can see that the scope is US Central 1. I got it? Yeah, I said apply this policy on the network level, but only the regional, only US Central. Sometimes business requirement comes like that, right? So now if you want to include this machine as well, I mean this region as well, how do you do that? If you want to add this Delhi region, Asia South 2A, simple, it's simple, right? You'll go to your policy and you go to the sorry. I think you can't do. Okay, once you created, you can't do that. Okay, that is the problem. Okay, you can change the rule, but you can't do the uh, you can't change the reason, right? You can change the rules. You can change all these rules, and maybe it is here. No, reason is not here. It's there, but it is not showing to edit it. Anyways, no problem. So if you want to have it, then what you can do, you can create a one more policy on regional basis, right? You can create a one more policy. This time you will say allow HTTP port 80 in Delhi. Regional is Delhi region here. To continue, add the rules. And this time I'm saying 5,000.
See, if you create 4,000 this priority again, it will not work because 4,000 already added. Sorry, under this same policy, if you create two more rules with this same priority, it will not work. You have to create a different. So, but here you can take the 4,000, but anyways, I'll take it another. Now saying allow, source IP is going to 0. And here I'm saying TCP port 80. Create, continue, associate, all the network. Okay, continue, create. So it'll take some time now. I have two policy, a regional policy say. Clear, right? I hope this is cleared. Hmm, Not getting answer. Any doubt? Yeah, absolutely. Mhm. Yes. So, so right now this is a regional one. A regional apply to this. Now, if you try to hit this this one, this instance two, see, this is accessible right now. You need to understand. This is my VPC one and VPC two. Here VPC one there is no firewall rule. Not at the VPC one, not at the VPC two. I have only created a global firewall rule. Here I have created a global firewall policy and it is regional, right? It is regional. Let me explain you here. Let's say this subnet is in central. This subnet is my Delhi, right? This subnet here also I need to create a, where is that? Subnet, subnet, here subnet. I'm trying to explain you like that so that you understand. See, I'm saying global firewall policy central, right? I've created one more policy here, which is for Delhi. I'm saying this policy apply to central only, right? Whatever VPC has been attached, because this is attached to both the VPC. This is attached to both the VPC. Since in VPC 2 there is no subnets in central region, it will apply to only VPC 1. If I add one more subnet here, if I add one more subnet here, then it will also, this region also comes under this scope. So this VM and this VM can be accessible over the internet, right? Understood, right? So this VM can be accessible over the internet on which port? Port 80, right? So on port 80, any user can access this because of the firewall policy. Now, if you have, let's say, if you want to create another VPC, let's say you have another VPC here, it's going to be VPC 3, and you have the same subnet here as well. Create the same subnet here. Oh, come on. Now what happened? This policy, and you associate this VPC with this policy, global firewall, use central. Then what happened?
This policy is also attached with this VPC, right? So this global policy has been attached to multiple VPC, right? Right. So this three VPC, now this VM can also be accessed over to the internet. You understood my point? Yes, yes, exactly. Now, but Delhi region cannot be accessed until you apply this policy on all the VPC here, right? You have to attach all the VPC here as well. If you have this, it's a bit difficult to understand, but just understand what I'm trying to say, right? I'm trying to say this regional policy. That's why this is working. Now you understood this, right? If you create, multiple VPC here, now if you create a VPC 3, 4, 5, and if you just attach it here, just attach it. You don't need to create a firewall rule in each VPC. You don't need to go to each VPC and create the firewall rule. Everything is defined now here at the global one. All right. So now move forward. Let's go to the. We need to create hierarchical policy which is there, where it is there. No, I think you need to go to organization first, and yeah, it's there. So first, before I go to the organization, you need to first delete this one, okay? The firewall policy, I just want to delete it. Oh my god, I have to disassociate this VPC one, remove the association one. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply this firewall policy organization base, right? Let's understand. You will understand now what we are going so far. Association, remove this. Let me grab some water. Okay, delete this as well. Now there is no firewall policy. Okay, if you try to hit this instance, it will not work. Let's do one thing. Let's create a firewall rule at the VPC level. Okay, at the VPC level, which means here. Okay, now delete this one. Here I am creating a firewall rule. I'm simply saying FW80. Okay, just understand this. FW80 means allow. I'm saying FW80 allow. Okay, I'm applying here allow. Add firewall rule, allow port 80. First in VPC 1. Remember this, I'm going to create a firewall rule at VPC level, VPC 1. Ingress all and TCP protocol 80. Now go to VPC 2. Create the same firewall rule here as well. Allow port 80. Oh, sorry, I have to name it something like that. The name has to be unique, okay? Now this time VPC 2. All instance /0 TCP 80. Now what happened? Can I access this machine? Yes or no? I have no policy, just the firewall rule at the VPC level. Now can I access it? Who can tell me? No. The global one has been deleted. Everything has been deleted. Now I just created the firewall rule at the VPC level. Here at the VPC level, VPC 1 and VPC 2. This one has been there. There is nothing in it. It's blank now. The global one is blank. I'm going to demonstrate this policy organization. But before this, I'm asking the question. There is nothing is there. Only the firewall rule. Allow for firewall rule 80. Allow firewall rule 80 on VPC 1, VPC 2. Now what would happen? Can I access this? I think you still get confused. There are two things. There are two things. There are VPC firewall rule and there are global network firewall policy. The firewall policy is a different service and the VPC firewall is a different. So basically, I created the firewall rule, uh, this firewall rule, it at VPC level. See, this is my VPC. I'm into the VPC network, not in firewall. I'm in the VPC network and firewall here. Both the VPC 1 and VPC 2 has got the firewall rule. Any questions here? Any still confused here? Shintu, did you understand? Yeah. So Tay, what I'm saying, understand this flow. We have VPC firewall rule and then comes global network firewall policy. So we have created the firewall rule at the network level, at the VPC level. Yeah, and if you go to firewall here, then you create the firewall policy. There is a difference between a firewall and firewall policy. Now this policy will decide global or regional. See, so this demo has been, yeah, the demo of this firewall policy has been completed. I show you the demo, right? Now I'm showing the demo of the uh, organization policy. To do this, I have just allowed the firewall rule on both the network VPC 1 and VPC 2. Can you see my cursor here? VPC 1, VPC 2. Now if you try to access, this will work. This will work because I have allowed the firewall rule. Now, now there is a sometime a company says I don't want any instance in my organization to be directly exposed to the public. These two instances are directly exposed, which is a security issue, right? So now my organization is saying allow a organization level policy here to deny this. Port 80, deny this. This is just an example. So what you're going to do, you go to firewall policy, but not at the project level. You go to the organization here. Now, when you go to the organization, because under this organization, everything is under is this organization. Whatever your project, your VPC network, everything is this. Let me source you resource hierarchy Google Cloud. Let me show you one thing so that you better understand. Yeah, this one. This one. View image. See, Google Cloud, this is the resource hierarchy. This is the organization, right? ACME. In my case, this is lifeedge.com, right? And then you can have a folders. This is your folders, the green one. You can arrange your folder with the reason wise. You can arrange your folder with the, with the department wise. And then you have the projects.
test, staging, production, and then you have the resource, compute, storage, text. It could be a VPC as well here, right? So if I allow the policy here, if you create the policy now here, I am saying deny port 80 HTTP, right? And I'm saying continue, add the rule. Let's make it ingress deny here. You have to select deny here. And then you're saying the target network. Who is going to be your target network? We just say this project. You can even create a cross project. You say VPC1. You can create more. This project and then VPC2. Understood? I hope you understand. I hope it makes sense. Yeah. 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 Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And you simply delete it. Yeah, only one. Yeah. Now you simply delete it. Remove it from here. You don't select it in the target network. You don't select those network, right? So now it is applicable to VPC1. Yeah. Yeah. So which means this instance in VPC1 is now denied. If you try to if you try to hit this access after the policy is created, you would not access to the instance one. But this instance 2 will be accessible because this is in VPC2, and VPC2 is excluded here. It's not there, right? Yeah. I'm saying deny this. Create. What happened? Oh, make it one. Okay. Continue. The file policy. Okay. Now here this is optional. Now let's make it optional right now. I don't want to because I don't want to show it something else. Now this policy is getting being created. Just wait for a few seconds and let me try this one. Okay, still it is still creating. Ah, okay, done. Now can I access it? Oh, 1 second. Why it is accessing? We try in the here. Uh, Deny port is here. What is the problem? It's there. Deny VPC1. It's clearly there. Or maybe it is not applied. Next time, maybe. I don't know why it is saying. Oh, I have not associated this organization. So I have to associate the organization as well. Sorry, my bad. You can even associate the folders. Like here, you have any folders. You can associate the folders. Now it is there. It should be fine now. Still hitting. Why is that? Oh,
Now it's not. See, I think it was cached in my
See that?
browser. This is not working. Yeah, but your instance, this instance is working fine. See, your second because in the VPC two. Now let's do one more thing. I'm going to edit it. Oh, sorry. Uh, Associations, or let's say the where is my firewall rule? This one, right? Now what I'm saying, uh, even remove this VPC one. I want to apply this policy at the organization level now. Okay, whatever VPC network, just the organization, right? So it's not just the VPC one or VPC two or VPC three. Whatever VPC that under this organization is has to be denied. This is my policy because I removed that one. Okay. Now if you try to hit this, see, both the instances are not accessible over the internet. So now here, who is winning? This is winning. This is winning because I have deny port 80 at org level, right? Even though it is allowed here, this is denied at the organization policy. So this will not effective. This will not effective anymore. This will effective. If I allow here, let's say if I denied this firewall here from, I mean delete this here from here and allow here, then it also works. I mean your VMs will be accessible. I hope you understand, right? What I'm trying to say. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Whichever policy is at the top, is at the top level, which will always win. This policy will win over this folder policy. This folder policy will win over this VPC firewall policy. This VPC firewall will win over this global network firewall policy, and this global network firewall policy will win over the regional one. Yes, and this. So the order is like that. This is the top priority. This is your top one. It always win, and this is the less. Make sense? All right. Let's move on to my second topic. I wanted to cover this topic in today's because it's just take 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Let's delete this. I don't need this policy, so just simply delete it. Okay, you need to associate it, remove the association, and then delete it. Okay, I'll delete this later. So okay, so here your all three firewall policies are covered: hierarchical, global, and regional. Hierarchical is organization level, global is both global and regional is regional, right? Now let's come to the roots. See, when we create the VPC network, there are some routes already created, right? So routes let instance send traffic directly to each other in a network. What is route? Route is basically this. Let's say this is point A and point B. You want to go from point A to point B. How do you go that? If there is a road, if there is a route, then you go that, right? If there is no route, how do you can't reach this, right? Point B. So similarly in the network, when VM instance wants to talk to the another VM instance, there has to be some route. How does VM know which route I have to go to talk to the VM2? Understood? So that is why the routes are there. And the default network directs the default network route direct traffic to a destination outside of the network. So there are three types of routes: system generated route. Now system generated route are of two types: system generated default route and subnet route. Then we have custom route, which is again of two types, static route and dynamic route. And then we have the peering route. Peering route, I will cover peering in next session because this is very important. Peering and all this VPN connectivity, we will cover this in a next session because the next session is going to be very, very advanced. So I will cover this two one, okay? Okay. Now I am going to my VPC network and I'm going to select this project. Let's focus on VPC one, okay? So this is the VPC one network. How many subnets are there? Two subnets. Which region? One is Mumbai, one is Central. This is the IP range. IP range of Mumbai is 10.255.192 and 60 is the US Central. This is the gateway and all this. Now, if you go to the routes, you select any region, but right now I'm selecting the US Central. Routes are always global. Remember that. Routes are also global. So, you need to here understand two things. 1 second. Okay, yeah. See, these routes are not created by myself. These routes are created by Google by default automatically. And what these routes are? This first route you can see that this is the route name. The type of this route is static, and the destination is what? Internet. The next hop is default internet gateway, which means if any VM in this network, in this VPC1, wants to talk to the public internet, this has to go through the internet gateway. Remember, I told you, I given you the example of, society. You remember that? The gated society? We have the gated society, we have a tower, right? I told you, right? This is a tower and this is your main gate, right? This main gate is called default internet gateway. This is the main gate to talk to your internet. So this VM is here in your subnet, wants to go to where? Wants to go to where? 0.0.0.0/0 public. And what is the route? Go to my default internet gateway, right? This is what the exact route. I hope you understand. Now, these two routes are also created by default. Subnet level route. How many subnets we have? How many subnets we have in this VPC? Two subnets, right? Yeah. Then two routes per subnets has been created. I told you that 192 is for which reason? It's for Mumbai. 60 is for US Central. And that is why this local routes, subnet level routes has been created. So what this local route means? If this is your Mumbai subnet and this is your US Central subnet, now your VM here and another VM in this subnet wants to talk to each other, then it will go to your VPC1. The path is going to be VPC1. I mean your network. Similarly for US Central, right? Clear? Okay. Shintu, you are also clear? Please tell me if you have any single doubt. Yeah, even if any single doubt, please feel free to interrupt me. Please, yeah, you have to, you can interrupt me at any point of time. Okay, now this is the routes. What I told you here, um, system generated default route and subnets route are there, right? Now, few things I wanted to show you. You cannot delete subnets routes, but you can delete this route, this default route. I'm giving a very simple example now. Let's say delete this one. I don't need this. this instance. Just focus on instance one, which is in VPC one. I'm focusing the VPC one only, and this and the instance. Now, if I SSS to this instance, this one first one, just please pay attention here. What I'm trying to say. I said here, uh, where is the? Oh, sorry, yeah. So I said here that if you want to go to internet, yeah, this is one. If you want to go to internet, go with the default internet gateway. Now, so if you want to go to, if I ping google.com, see, I can ping. I can, this VM can talk to the internet. Why this VM can talk to the internet? Because of this route. Because of this route, right? Yeah. This VM can talk to the google.com because of this route only. Let's ping. Let's continue to ping. Now what if I delete this? If I delete this, let me delete it. See, after 18, there is no ping request. The ping request has been stopped. This VM cannot talk to the internet because the VM is not able to find where to go. The route is not here. Where is the road? It is still confused, stuck. So sometime this is an architecture related question. Sometime in the interview will ask, if you don't want your VMs to directly talk to the default internet gateway, what would be the next option? How can you more secure this? How can you secure your egress traffic? This is a egress traffic, right? This is talking to the internet, so it is egress. It is a outgoing, right? So how would you enable in a very secure way? Let's say, I'll tell you. Let's create a route first. If I create the default route again, it will start working. But sometime what happen? I will say, egress internet, and I would say appliance, firewall appliance. Okay. Let's say I'm just saying which network, VPC one. So here I'm saying for static route now. Earlier is for default route. I'm saying if you want to go to internet, there are some options. You can see that either go to internet gateway. This is the one that we have just deleted, right? Or specify an instance, specify an address, IP address, tunnels. These are the options. So basically, if I choose this specify an instance, which means I am saying some firewall appliance. I'm telling you with a very simple example here. Explain it by what I'm saying. See, you have this VPC1, okay, and you have this subnet. Okay, let's say I have a subnet, and here you have a VM. This is your VM. Now your default, you have already deleted the default route. This VM now cannot talk to the public internet. Cannot talk to. But your organization say, do one thing. If your VM wants to talk to the internet, let's in place the firewall, some firewall appliance.
So I will place some firewall appliance here in this VPC network. Let's say there is some firewall appliance. Okay, some firewall appliance. This appliance has multiple NICs, right? This firewall appliance has multiple NICs. Multiple NICs means it can have an sorry, it can have multiple NICs. Here it can have which is talking to the VPC, another VPC makes it VPC2 maybe, and this VPC as well. So now it's saying if you want to go to internet, go to here, which means I'll put the IP of this firewall appliance here next. So my VM will talk to here, and this firewall appliance is talking to, having a separate NIC, which is talking to the internet. Um, if you don't understand, uh, I will explain you with one more diagram. Just give me a second. Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, understand this. Just forget about that. This is my VPC, and my VM is saying I want to go to internet. How this go? This has a this is your firewall appliance, right? So you can put the next hop of this IP of this firewall appliance. Okay, I'll explain. I'll come to this later. But since I do not have the firewall, I cannot put it. So what I'm gonna do? I'm simply saying egress internet default static route, and the next hop is sorry. Here you need to select the default internet gateway and create it. Now in few moments you will see your this ping request will start working. See, it's working, right? This is working. So route is very important. Please understand this is very important. Route, you need to understand this routing. Otherwise you're gonna get confused in the arc. Not yeah. Sorry. What I was saying earlier. See, I have deleted the default internet gateway, but I just recreated this internet the default routes. See, default internet. It is the next hop is default internet gateway. Actually, what I have done, I'm in VPC one. If you go to routes, and if you go to this is your central region or whatever region, because routes are global, you can select any region. So you can see that this routes I have deleted it and then I recreated it. The next hope was default internet gateway. What I was saying, sometime your organization or in the real world, your organization don't want you to directly expose to the default internet gateway. They want it to expose to some sort of firewall appliance. If you understand this design, you have to understand this design first. This is where there are two projects. There is a this one project, this called the interconnect, and there is a host project, and there is a service project. Now your VMs are here, your VPCs are here. This is shared VPC. I will speak to shared VPC later, but just understand the concept. Your this project, this is dedicated to the interconnect, which means all your dedicated connection to your on-premise will be connected to this project only, right? Yes. So yeah. So I'll explain this in a different way because this is shared VPC. You will understand.
Let me connect this interconnect Google Cloud, interconnect Google Cloud. Yeah, this one. Uh, 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 where is that? Maybe I can explain you here as 1 second. Where is my landing zone? Yeah, this one. Yeah, understand this one. See, this is your Google Cloud, right? And here you have a shared VPC. So you have a shared VPC for production. So what happened? Your VPC is now connected to your on-prem. Your VPC is also connected to your cloud also. So there is a inter. How do you connect to? Uh, I mean hybrid connections from your on-prem data center to your cloud. There has to be some sort of physical connectivity, right? So how do you achieve this? There is a called cloud interconnect. I'm going to cover this topic in the next session because this is a very very advanced and very tough, very complex. So I'll cover this later. So basically, if your Google Cloud wants to talk to the AWS cloud, then you can set up the VPN as well. So there has to be some sort of connectivity, right? This is what this diagram was saying. This is what this diagram was saying. There is a different project for the connectivity only. This project only and only dedicated to the connectivity, only the interconnectivity. This project has a VPC called interconnect VPC, whatever VPC, and this particular VPC is connected to your data center. So your data center is talking to this VPC. Now your VPC can peer with with your actual workload VPC. You can see that, right? So you are not directly your main VPC where is your workload is not directly talking to the on-prem. It is direct. It is talking with the some sort of VPC peering, right? And that is called the hub and spoke model with next generation or next gen firewall. This architecture is bit difficult to understand because I haven't covered the shared VPC. So you understand shared VPC. If you so do you know shared VPC, Shintu or Tai? Do you know what shared VPC? Yeah, actually, yeah, okay. So I told you right in my last associated. All right. So I'll explain it. Shared VPC in the upcoming session. So shared VPC is nothing basically a VPC is shared with multiple projects. Okay. So you have this host project and you have a shared one single shared VPC and you can have multiple service project which can share the VPC. So VPC means the network is shared with the multiple projects and those projects can share the subnet. So instead of having this service project have their individual VPC, now they don't have any VPC in their project. They are looking for IP allocation from the shared VPC. The idea of shared VPC is to centralize the network management. So basically, let's imagine if you don't have shared VPC. Let's say you don't have shared VPC. You have multiple individual VPC, standalone VPC. What do you say, right? Let's say this is 1000 maybe 200 VPC. Let's say 200 VPC. Now in 200 sorry in this is a sorry I'm confused. This is your project. Sorry, this is your project. Okay. In project, you have a standalone VPC. Okay, you have a standalone VPC. These are VPCs. This circle are the VPC, and this squares are the projects. Now imagine if network admin, if I am a network admin or you are a network admin or computer, if you are managing the VPC, you need to log in each and every project to manage your VPC. It's too difficult, right? You're logging to each and every project. You're going over to each project and looking at the VPC, creating the firewall, creating the routes. How difficult it is, right? That's where a shared VPC concept comes into this picture. Now, shared VPC is saying don't create a VPC in individual project. Do one thing, use shared VPC, create a host project, one big project, make it, call it host project, and here you can create a shared VPC. Okay, you can create a shared VPC. SVPC means shared VPC. You can create the subnets here, and this is your spoke project. This is also your project, right? Small, small, where your applications are running, and these are called the spoke project, and this is called the host project. And share it with them. Share it with them. Share it with them. Now, if I am a network admin, I am just logging to this host project and I'm managing my entire network from this central project. Understood? Makes sense? Yeah. Now, as an admin, I'm not going to each and every spot because there is no VPC. There is no VPC. I don't want to create any VPC in this project because these are my application. These are my business line. My application is there. This project is only managed by the application team, the developer team, right? The app team. They don't allow me to log into to their project. So I'm managing my network from here only in this project, right? The spoke projects can be can be any 1,000, 2,000 spoke VPC can be attached to this host project. I am just managing my network, firewall, VPC, subnets, routes from a single project. That is why it is called hub and spoke model. This is your hub